The following video will describe how you can go about setting up the Markup Rate Card CSV import template. The Markup CSV Rate Card template appears as shown. This is outlined in the Markup Rate Card help articles on the markup.help page. The first thing that you would need to import is the carrier. Everything that goes on a Markup import file is abbreviations that are stored in the system. In order to ascertain what carrier abbreviation you need to use, you need to look at the rate card and find out what carrier are these rates assigned to. The rates that I will be demonstrating with are assigned to the carrier Northline. To find the abbreviation for Northline, simply navigate to Markup, select Admin and Carriers. Here you will see a list of the carriers that have been applied to your account. Find the carrier either using the search bar or by looking through the grid. So in this example, if we look for Northline, you will find that the abbreviation is NL. In that case, the first column needs to have NL, telling the system that we are looking to import rates against Northline. The second column that needs to be dealt with is the rate card column. Here you will need to assign the rate card abbreviation that you want either to create your new rate card with that abbreviation or to match with an abbreviation that exists in the system. If you are looking to see what rate cards are currently assigned to your company, simply go to Markup and select Admin, Rate Cards. Search for the carrier and you will find in the abbreviation column, in this sample, we have a rate card in the system for Northline that's called Test NL. In the example I'm going to put together though, this is going to be a new rate, a new set of rates. In that case, I'm going to use the abbreviation 8TRC04. Once you have set the rate card, you need to assign the service abbreviation. The service will usually be made quite clear on the rate card itself. In this example, the service is shown as being general. If there is any ambiguity about the service, simply email support@markup.com with the rate card asking or inquiring to what the service needs to be. In order to find the service abbreviation, simply go Admin, Carriers, search for the carrier, select the cog, go View Services. This will give you a list of all the services that have been created against that carrier. In the example of Northline, you'll see we have a general service and a must travel service. These rates we would like to import as against the general service. So in this instance, we need to take the abbreviation as being gen. If we copy that and paste that in our sample file, next we need to assign the from zone and the to zone. Zones are used by carriers to collect suburbs that have similar characteristics for pricing as well as transit. Markup has a helpful tool that will enable you to find what suburb is assigned to what zone for what carrier. To do this, go Admin, Maps, assign the carrier, and select any suburb. For example, Sydney, you would type in Sydney. The map will then colour. If you click, you will then see a list of all the suburbs that appear in that area. And underneath that, you will see that the suburb of Sydney has been assigned to the zone of Metro and SID. For the sample rates that we are looking at, we have got a pallet rate from Melbourne to Adelaide and a cents per kilo rate from Sydney to Melbourne. Markup has done their best to match up the zone abbreviations in the system with the zones that have been used on carrier rate cards. In the example here, this Melbourne to Adelaide won't match up with what's in the system, but the SID to Melb does. So what we will need to do is we will need to ascertain for Melbourne and for Adelaide, what do the abbreviations need to be. To do this, simply go to the maps page, type in the suburb, click on the suburb location, and you'll see that the abbreviation for Adelaide is ADL. If we do the same for Melbourne, you will find that the abbreviation for Melbourne is MEL. So we can now put those abbreviations in our rate card import. mel, ADL, and our second set of rates will be SID to mel. With each line on the import, all of the columns need to be filled out. In that case, we will just duplicate what we've put in A, B, and C. The next column that needs to be dealt with is the reciprocal column. If a rate is reciprocal, that means that it is the same as from the from zone to the to zone as the price is from the to zone to the from zone. This will usually be clearly marked on your rate card. In the rates shown, there does not appear to be any clear indicator to suggest that these rates are reciprocal. So we will set this as being N for no. The next thing that needs to be put into the system is the cubic conversion factor. This also should be clearly marked on your rate card. In the example shown, there is no clear indicator about what the cubic conversion factor should be, so we will leave that as being 0. Next, we will need to provide our basic. As you can see on the rates here, the rates from Melbourne to Adelaide have no clear basic mentioned, but from Sydney to Melbourne there is a basic of $17. So we will set a $0 basic for our Melbourne to Adelaide rate and a $17 basic for our Sydney to Melbourne rate. Next, we need to put in our minimum price. A minimum price on a rate card will be that if the basic plus the break price is less than the minimum price, you will be charged the minimum price. This also will be clearly marked on a rate card. And as you see in our sample, the Melbourne to Adelaide rate has no minimum, the Sydney to Melbourne rate has a $26 minimum. So we will set that in that column. The next thing that we need to set up is our breaks. Breaks are collections of common pricing units. The break types that exist in Markship are pieces or item-based pricing, weight, which will then charge on the cubic or the dead weight of the consignment, volume, which will charge on the volume of the consignment, and distance, which charges on the amount of kilometers travelled. For the example we have a weight-based rate and a pallet rate, which is an item rate or a pieces rate. So the first thing we need to do is set the break type. For the samples we have here, the break types are going to be pieces and weight. The next column that needs to be dealt with is the item type column. This is what will be populated if the particular pricing unit needs to apply to a set item. For example, our pieces item break is applying to a pallet, so we need to find what the pallet item type needs to be. To find that abbreviation, simply navigate to Markship, go Admin, Other Options, select from the Advanced section and go to Carrier Item Types. Here you will see a list of all the carrier item types that have been loaded into the system. Search for the carrier and you will see this will filter down to just those item types related to that carrier. If you expand out the item type section, you will see that we have a Northline pallet with the abbreviation PAL and a pallet 130 with the abbreviation PAL-K. Each of these is given an order, whereby the lower the order, Markship will price that first. Okay. You will also see the dimensions that have been applied to that particular item type. In this example, the pallet has a maximum length of 120, maximum width of 120, a maximum height of 180, and a maximum weight of 1000. If the maximums are left blank, that means there is no maximum on that particular item type. If we look at our rate card, we will see that our pallet has been given a 120 by 120 footprint, in which case we would need to utilize our PAL as our item type. So if we go back, we would put our item type as PAL. For our weight breaks, we have not been given any sort of indication that there is a particular item type that this should apply to. As a result, we will leave that column blank. Now we need to put our breaks. A break from will be the count of that particular break type. So for example, if we look at our rates for our pallet rates, we have been given a $45 per pallet rate with no limit being placed on that particular pricing unit. As such, our first unit will be 1, Our secondary unit will be infinity, as we are given no maximum, and our price will be 45. For our weight rates, we have been given a 0 to 250 kilo price of 0.39 and a 251 and over price of 0.35. To put that into our rate card, we would put our break from as being 1, our break to of being 250, and our price as being 0.39. We then need to put our secondary weight break in. Simply repeat what we have done previously. Break type as being weight, item type as being blank. Our break from will need to be 1 unit more than our break to. In this instance, 250 becomes 251. Our break to is left as infinity, and our price is put as 0.35. Now that we have populated our rate card template, we can save the rate card and look to import this into the system. Find out how to import these files into the system by watching other videos in these series.